Hey there, PhD friends, and welcome to another video. I'm so excited to bring you today's PhD to industry interview. So today I'm interviewing Dr. Teresa Ambrosio, who has a PhD in organic chemistry and currently works as a scientist in industry. We talk about how Teresa's PhD program actually prepared her for this role in industry. We also talk about how she used Instagram and LinkedIn to expand her professional network. And then we also talk about being open-minded to the careers that are out there beyond academia. A lot of people feel if they're not working in academia as a PhD or after their PhDs, somehow they failed. Not true. And so we'll be sharing that and a lot more in the video. Here's your reminder. I had talked about this earlier on, but yes, the course I'm creating on using LinkedIn to build a personal brand that helps you stand out is coming out very soon. If you'd like to get notified of it, there is a free training in the description below. Go ahead and sign up for that. It's a free, quick 9-minute training on LinkedIn. And once the course is done and launched, I will notify you if you are on that list. So make sure to sign up. Now let's get straight into the interview. Right, Teresa. So thank you so much for coming on the Bold PhD, where we talk about navigating the non-academic career markets. As I always ask all my guests, what is your educational background? Tell us a little about that.
So it's a bit strange because I did half of my education in Italy and then I moved to the UK to do my PhD. So my background is in chemistry. So I did a bachelor in chemistry. Then I did a master in chemistry, which in Italy is 2 years, not just one as in other countries. So 1 year was just exams and 1 year was research. So I was very lucky because during my master, I got to spend one entire year in the lab doing research. And I think that now looking back, I think that research experience, along with my academic CV, got me into a PhD. So then I applied for PhDs a bit around Europe. I felt like, because science is such a wide topic and it's very, it needs people from everywhere. I thought that staying in Italy wasn't good for me career-wise, so I decided to move to another country to do my PhD. And, I applied to many places. And I want to stress this. I applied to so many places and all I got was one yes. So I got, positive answer from the University of Nottingham, and then I moved to the UK to do my PhD. So in terms of education, I think it's a bit straightforward. I did my undergrad and master in chemistry, and then I did my PhD in organic chemistry. So it's really, I think I'm very specialized in one topic of, the big field of science.
Yeah, as are all of us. I feel like a PhD, you end up becoming a subject matter expert on something very little, right? In the big wide big world of science. But so tell us a little bit about what you do now. After your graduation, you didn't go into a postdoc, you didn't go into an academic position. So what do you do now?
So this is very interesting because, when I started my PhD, my idea was to do a postdoc and then stay in academia. And I think this is mostly because this is what you see around you. So it's your model. Then at the University of Nottingham, I have to say, they wanted to be very realistic with us and say, it's a great career. It's good if you have this kind of ambition to stay in academia, but be realistic because of all of you starting a PhD, only 3% will end up doing, this academic career. So, we want to invite you to explore different options. and keep your mind open. So that is, it was always at the back of my mind. Then I started doing my PhD, and I realized that, the kind of research or the environment I was exposed during my undergrad and master was very different from doing, research and being in this environment. I found it very, competitive, very, I would say, toxic. So I say, this is not what I want for myself. And very early on during my PhD, I knew that continuing on that path wasn't for me. Like I didn't want. So I knew that it was, I do my PhD, I get my title, I explore, I learn more about research, but then I want to move on. So I don't remember what it was your initial question. I got there. So basically, it's for me how I got to the place where I am now. It's being open-minded, about what's out there. Learn which kind of, I do a PhD in science, like specific side of science, but what can I do outside research? There is a vast world out there. I was considering, I think as you did, a bit of medical communication, science communication, so editorial jobs. So I was a bit considering all of this. But then this came later on, when I was applying for jobs, I just realized that my CV wasn't, suitable for this kind of roles. And then I tried with research, and that was successful because, understanding also where you, let's say, understanding critically your CV is important, because that is when, what you can do, the value that you can bring to a company, why your skills, are valuable to them. And that was the moment when I decided, I've been doing research forever. I've only done chemistry in my entire life. This is my skill set. This is my knowledge. That is the job for me. Mm-hmm. So that is, to me, what got me into a position where I am now.
I love so many things about what you said, Teresa. One of them was being open-minded, right?
Yes.
Being open-minded to the fact that, okay, I've been in an academic institution for most of my life.
Yes.
What else can I do? And you talk about that. So maybe can you expand on that a little bit? Like how were you open-minded, and how can somebody be open-minded?
Yeah. I tell you straight away. So that for me, the first way of, seeing the broad picture of science was doing science communication. So, there were many possibilities with the university to, participate to science fairs, to show, experiment to kids. I don't know, to organize open days where you show, to, I think, high school students how it's like to do degree. So that is for me how the first approach, like the first touch on what's out there, it was really the science communication. So I think it's mostly for many people, being involved in any event, to say, there is more that you can do outside academia, outside research. And that was the first thing. Then I think a bit also with my website, I reached out, I expanded my network. So I also, I saw what was around there, what other people, were doing. So it was a bit of, science communication, and also looking at what other people do, and see, oh, this is cool, this is interesting. Am I would like, do my skills suit that kind of job? So that is kind of the questions I asked myself back then.
Yeah, no, you said a lot that's really, really good. When you were expanding on this idea of being open-minded, and the first one is open yourself up to opportunities, right? So
Yes,
there were opportunities at your university, you took advantage of it, you went to the science fairs, you took advantage of educating younger people on, what's
yes.
in science. You opened yourself up to these opportunities, which, to be honest, like when I was in graduate school, I was so close-minded to these things because I'm like, oh, I just want to do my research. I just want to do my experiment and get out of here, right? But really, sometimes your university, even if, and I love also that you said earlier on, you mentioned the fact that your university was very, very frank with you that only 3%
Yes.
of you are going to get academic jobs. Unfortunately, and I feel in other, I don't know whether in other parts of the world, but at least in the US, this is something that is not, it's a known fact that only about 17% of PhDs will get a tenure track position. You could get a contract position, you could get some other kind of
Yeah.
university teaching job, but it's not a stable one, right? And so tenure track stable job, that's only 17%. That's about 1 in 6 people are going to get that. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that until I graduated. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you don't know. You don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
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 So the fact that you were told, that's really, really powerful. And I just want to applaud the University of Nottingham for saying that. And so from the get-go, you're like, okay, I'm going to get my degree, but now let me think about other ways I can use the degree. Amazing. Then you also mentioned expanding your network. And
Yes.
and I want to talk about actually I want to plug Teresa here because she does have a Transforming Women in Science, Women Transforming Science. It's an
Yes.
Instagram page. She also is sort of like an influencer, so I know you've done brand
Yeah,
deals and stuff
I
like
know.
that.
Yes.
And that's also amazing because sometimes as PhDs, we see ourselves as just like one thing, but we are very multifaceted. And explored that and built your network. And through that, so was it through your network that you learned about your current position? And what is your current position?
Okay, so I'll tell you that this expanding network, my network through social medias, especially LinkedIn, was another advice from the university. So, so that that it really encouraged us to create a LinkedIn profile and share what you do, your papers, your conference, um, a day in the lab, put out there for people to see. So that was how I started. Then I thought that, anytime I went to a conference or to, meeting, I was asking people, oh, can I add you on LinkedIn? Can we stay in touch through LinkedIn? And it could have been anyone, like a student like me, a postdoc, a professor. And that was how I started. Then I started posting like a bit more often about my conference. And it was so powerful because people I met like years before, they reached out to me and said, oh, it's nice to see that you're doing well with your research. So that was for me really a motivation to keep going. And, the university taught us, put up yourself out there. And then I experienced myself the power of using the professional networks to, actually expose yourself. And about the other things with Instagram and everything, it was really seeing other people doing it. So, I, I wasn't the first one starting this. So I looked at Instagram, Twitter, I saw all these girls, like, beautiful girls, like, like not really the idea that you have as a scientist from every color, every, country, racial background. And I saw, that they're doing amazing, showing themselves, showing that there is more, more to what you see, like the experiments or the small research that you do. And they were out there looking amazing. I said, I can do it too. And I started doing it. And it was, I think for me, was really one of the best decisions I made in my life. Not because I make the money, the brand deals, because it helped me really growing, exposing myself, understanding, who I am. When you put yourself out there, exposed to such a big network where people question you, or what you're doing, are you a real scientist if you do this on social media, and then you have to find the confidence inside yourself to say, it doesn't matter what I do outside the lab. I'm still a scientist. I still know how to do my job. So it was a very good learning experience. And if I could go back, I would do exactly the same, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love it. And again, like our experiences are so different, because in my case, like, nobody told me to get on LinkedIn. Nobody said to put myself out there. It was just, which I mean, I had great trainers, but I don't even think they knew that the academic market wasn't such a great place in the US. And so, yeah, this is amazing to hear. So tell us a little.
I want to just say something that, for this is something also, I followed you on social media, and I know that you published many papers during your, PhD. So I didn't have. So unfortunately, my research, didn't produce any outcome, to be like, I did learn a lot of things, but, it was always negative. So negative results. So it didn't end up in any journal. So you had this kind of, you had your publication to show that you were a good scientist. I didn't. So that was for me then a bit to go back to your first question, how you ended up doing this job. It's because I also put my knowledge out there. So, that for me was like my publication. Like it was the equivalent of getting a publication, because otherwise, how do I show? How do I, prove that I know what I'm doing? And for me, all the explaining the science, writing about science, it was the way for me to kind of prove this. I know what I'm doing. So I wanted to say this because it made the difference for me, really.
And I think another great point you bring here is the fact that there are people that have reached out. Well, one person reached out to me one day and said, I don't have publications, and because of that, I feel this way about the job market. And I remember I had put it out there because like you said, I finished with quite a few publications. I think four publications by the time I was done with my PhD. I was first author on two of them and middle author on the others. But so I didn't identify, but I remember you responded to that question.
Yes.
And, for those of you that are finishing and you don't have papers, take consolation in the fact that there is light at the end of the tunnel. You can get into a great career, right?
Yes.
Outside, once you're done with your PhD, just like Teresa mentioned, as long as you are putting in the work to build your network, talk about the knowledge that you have acquired through your PhD and demonstrate that you know what you're talking about. I think that will be excellent. So to just coming back to what you do now in your
So I just would say now I love my job. Like, I'm so happy I decided, to stay in research, because really I love my job. So on a day-to-day basis, I do the same things I was doing in my PhD. I work in the lab. So, I do chemistry. So, I do reactions, purifications, analysis. So that is my day-to-day job. And it's really nothing different than I was doing during my PhD. So, and the most amazing part for me of doing this job is that it's mind-blowing, because I never thought this would happen. All the knowledge that I acquired during my PhD, I now use on a daily basis to solve problems. So that is, it blows my mind. Like, I say, you see all the sacrifice I made, all the things I've learned, all the techniques, all the experience I have, I use it on a daily basis. And it can be, you know, to do a new chemical reaction to solve a problem, or to look at the data and see, oh, this is what I plan to do, this is what I got, what's going on there. So, you know, it is really, it's really, it makes me happy. I don't know how to say this in any other word. So that is most of my job, is the research, like working in the lab. Yeah, the dynamics of, you know, how the job function are quite different, because in academia, you win the government grants, and there is, you know, no scrutiny on how you spend this money. Whereas in the job that I do now, we win contracts. So clients come to us to say, you know, we have this problem. Can you help us solving this problem? So we are constantly under scrutiny on, you know, what we do, the progress that we make. So I have meetings every 2 weeks on, you know, updating the client on what we do. Like, they want to know that we actually working towards finding solutions. So there is for me the biggest difference that I experienced during my PhD, because then I was presenting my work like once a year in, you know, conference meetings, or, you know, at the end of your PhD, when you publish, if you publish with your thesis, with papers. So here, you know, I feel this kind of pressure of, you know, it is not about positive results. It's more to show that you're working towards solution, that, you know, you're proactively looking to solve their problems. And also, you know, this idea of team working, like teamwork that, you know, in academia, it felt like such a competitive, you know, and nasty environment, whereas now I'm part of a team. You know, if I have problems, I can talk to people. They support me, like scientifically, and also, you know, on a personal level. So it is really, I don't know, it makes me happy, makes me, you know, like my job, and go every day doing my job. Like, you know, I'm not miserable anymore. I'm not grumpy anymore. It's kind of, and this is something I never expected, you know, because as you say, when you spend so much time in an environment, you think that, you know, this is your reality. I don't know how to explain it. And then you think that everywhere is going to be the same. And it's not the case, you know, it's not the case at all. You know, you just have to have faith to see, you know, let's see what's out there. It's, you know, being open-minded again, and positive that there is another world, and like a total different world that's academia.
Yes. I love this so much. Thank you so much for sharing those experiences with us. So I think there are a few takeaways that people that are currently PhDs or PhD students or graduate students can take away, or even maybe you finished your PhD and you're thinking about how to leave academia, right? Teresa talked about being open-minded. I highly recommend that. She also talked about opening yourself up to opportunities, right? At your school, you know, in your community, even just creating your own thing, right? I started the Bold PhD, you know, out of this need to talk about, you know, non-academic careers. And, you know, that has landed me speaking engagements and other opportunities, you know, for Teresa, that landed her brand opportunities and get paid for that. So you can even get paid beyond just your job as a scientist, or your job as, you know, whatever, you know, vertical or whatever subject you're in as a PhD, and then also expanding on her network. That's excellent. I always recommend that people expand their networks. And then you have also talked about what you do in your job and being able to use the skills you learned in your PhD still in industry. So the fact that you are going out of academia doesn't mean that you have to lose all your skills.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that in a lot of cases you are using your skills. And even if you're not using your skills, for me as somebody who works in medical communication slash medical writing, I'm constantly using the knowledge and the skills of research that I gathered.
Exactly.
Yes, when I was in the microbiology and immunology lab, it may not be, I may not be wearing a lab coat every day, I may not be doing, pipetting and all that, but I'm still
It's
using that
still
knowledge.
research. Yes, yes.
I'm still using that knowledge.
So,
So this is excellent. So thank you so much, Teresa. So if people want to find you and interact with you, where will they find you?
my LinkedIn profile is Teresa Ambrosio, PhD. This is more of a professional network for me. I also have my website, teresaambrosio.com, which is a bit of me as a scientist and me as outside the science, because I'm also, a person, a woman outside my job. So that is important for me to kind of keep this aspect of myself. And then I have the network of Women Transforming Science, where, people can find inspiration. I usually try to bring people from diverse background, like social economic background, different ethnicity, and also different science fields. So, there is a bit of representation of everything, and people can, connect, interact, create new links, create new networks, connections. So I encourage everyone to take a look and see if it's for them.
Yes, absolutely. So I will make sure to also leave links to Teresa's
Yes.
LinkedIn, her website, and also her Instagram. So please check it out. Thank you so much, Teresa.
No,
This was
thank you to
great.
you for, yes.